Okay, so this is going to demonstrate an RNAV approach, what it would look like in a G1000. We're going to do the RNAV GPS runway 20 into the Ellington-Lewisburg Airport. That's Lima Uniform Golf. We've got the approach loaded. I'm going to activate it in just a minute. You can see we're level at 4,000 feet. And so I'm going to give an ATC clearance in just a moment and then give the response and show you how to fly this procedure. So it's helpful if you have the procedure right in front of you as we fly it on the flight sim here. So we'd currently be talking to Memphis Center on 128.15, and an approach clearance would sound something like this. November 584 Mike Tango, right turn cleared direct to Epsuf, maintain 4,000 feet until established, and cleared for the RNAV 20 into Lewisburg. So we're going to turn right direct to Epsuf, activate our approach. The reply would be right turn direct Epsuf, maintain 4,000 until established, and cleared for the RNAV approach into Lewisburg. So I'll activate it again once we're on a good heading. And as you can see from the plate, we're going to have to maintain 4,000 until established. We'll be established once we get to Epsuf here in just a few moments. I'm using the autopilot as I fly this to just make it a little bit easier to explain. So we've activated it. We're direct to Epsuf. As you can see, we're 3.8 miles from our initial fix at 4,000 feet. Hopefully we've briefed the approach. We're going to treat this as an LNAV only. So we're going to treat this as if we do not have WASP. So we'll be flying down to the LNAV MDA of 1,100 feet, and we need a mile visibility. So we would assume that we'd gathered the weather data already, the winds were favoring runway 20, and we'd proceed to a straight-in landing, provided we can see the runway environment and have the visibility, and can land using normal maneuvers per the requirements of 91-175. And I've got the sim loaded up as a 172, so it's flying similar speeds that we'd probably see in a Diamond DA-40. So we're 2 miles out from our initial fix at Epsuf. After that, we'll proceed to Oxez as the intermediate fix, and then we'll turn left inbound to heading a 021 final approach course for our runway 20. You see also that the GPS is in approach mode, so that's the sensitivity I have there on my CDI needle. One mile out from the initial fix, not a bad place to start slowing the airplane down. Alright, so there's our initial approach fix. Now we do a left turn, inbound to Oxez, so the 6 T's. I know I can descend here down to 3,000 feet. And this is where we're going to do our 6 T's, time, turn, time, twist, throttle, talk. I don't know if that's the correct order you guys do it. Memphis Center at this time might ask you to report Oxez inbound. So when we get to Oxez, we will tell Center that we're inbound at Oxez on the RNAV 20 approach. So we're inbound to Oxez out of 3,800 for 3,000 feet. 4 miles to go to Oxez. And we want to be monitoring our local frequencies as well. I'm not running the radios on the sim, so disregard the radio frequencies. Now we're out of 3,500 for 3,000, 3 miles to Oxez. As you can see on the chart, there's no procedure turn required, so when we get to Oxez, we will turn left to 201, final approach course. The winds are calm on the sim, so we're not drifting left or right or have any crazy ground speeds on this approach. Okay, you see our altitude's coming up there at 3,000. It is bugged, and the autopilot should capture it. We want to verify it does. Keep that thing, keep an eye on it. And we have leveled off. You might want to add some power back in, just a little bit of power once you level off here. We're at 3,000 feet. At this point, I'd be monitoring the local CTAF on 22.8 and make a radio call. Ellington-Lewisburg traffic, November 584 Mike Tango, is inbound on the RNAV 20 approach. Other traffic in the area, please advise. See if anybody's down in the pattern for when we pop out of these clouds. Speed looks good. We're a little bit right of course. I'll make an adjustment to the heading bug there. And we're 0.5 from our intermediate fix Oxes. And we have a big left turn here, and it's a fly-by waypoint, so we can actually lead the turn, and I think it will sequence as such. There it has. So we're still 0.2 miles away. It's saying go ahead and turn inbound at Oxes. So left turn here. We'll go through our 6 T's. We can now descend down to 2,500 feet. A radio call to Memphis Center would sound like Memphis Center, November 584 Mike Tango. Oxes inbound on the RNAV GPS runway 20 approach. And you see how sensitive that approach needle is. So we're out of 3, down to 2,500. Our final approach fix is Matal, or Matal. That's the spot where we're going to do our gumps check, our flaps, fuel pumps, such things like that. 2,700 for 2,500, speeds at 100, looks good. We will want to slow down for flaps though at Matal, and you see that we're still 3.8 miles from there. And we're going to do this again as a non-precision LNAV only procedure. Memphis Center would at this point say frequency change approved, so we're still active on our IFR flight plan. We have not canceled yet because we're still in the clouds. We cannot cancel yet. 3 miles from our final fix. I'll slow in just a minute to the white arc to get the first notch of flaps out. And as you can see, I'm straying a little bit off course here. I want to try and make course corrections as necessary. We're about 2 degrees left of course. Make small corrections. Speed slowing down, looking good. 2 miles from our final fix, Matal. You see that needle slowly coming back in there. And if we brief the next spot here after Matal, LNAV only, we can get down to 1,320 prior to that next fix on the chart at AVAC, which is 1.8 miles from the runway. Speed's just about perfect. We're almost down to that white arc. If it's even showing a white arc, I believe it is. So we're going to slow a little more. 0.5 from our final fix. A radio call to local traffic would sound like this. Ellington-Lewisburg traffic, November 584 Mike Tango, inbound on the RNAV GPS runway 20 approach. Alright, so here is Matal. Fuel pumps, we're going to get flaps in, landing lights, such things like that. And we can now get down to 1,320 feet. I can't set anything other than hundreds on my autopilot, so I'm going to set 1,400 on the autopilot altitude. Should descend to that point. Speed's looking good. See if we can get it stabilized around 80 knots or so. So we're down to 1,320 before ACAC. ACAC is not shown on the sim, but I will know when I'm there, because as you see, it's 1.8 miles to the runway, and we've got the runway up here at 4.8. So I know when I'm 3.0 from the runway, I'm at ACAC. Then I can descend to my MDA of 1100. So again, we're descending and leveling off and holding these altitudes when we're LNAV only, non-WAS. Out of 1900 for 1400, on the plate it's 1320. Speed's good on profile. Descending at a nice steady 600 feet per minute, 700 feet per minute. That's a good descent rate for a stabilized approach criteria. There's 3.6. At 3.0, we'll be at evac, and then we can descend down to 1,100, our MDA, once we're at 3.0. So I'm down to 1320 now, but as you can see, we're going to be past evac. So I'm going to go ahead and set 1,100, our straight in category A MDA, and continue to descent. The missed approach point here is going to be the runway 20. Speed's good, we're configured. We don't do landing flaps until we see the runway environment and decide to land, but we're well within speed to do that. Each time you level off, you might have to add a little bit more power because you don't want to get too slow on an instrument approach. So as we get closer, very small corrections left and right. It's leveling off at 1100, that's our MDA, so we cannot go below that altitude. Add some power. As you can see, it looks like I busted the MDA there. We have to be at least within 100 feet of it vertically, but you cannot go below it. So we're holding 1100 now, waiting for our missed approach point, which is the runway itself in 1.7 miles. Speed looks good. Course looks good. Altitude is good. Wish it were about 20 feet higher, it would show 1100. And as you can see, we're getting a little left of course here. And if everything works out well, you would look up. So you look up. We've got the runway environment, we've got the visibility, we can land using normal maneuvers, so that's what we would do in this scenario. However, what if we went missed? So if we're going to go missed now, first things first, full power and get the airplane climbing. And the missed approach on the chart, as you can see there, it's a climb straight out to 3,000 feet. First things first though, fly the plane, add power, begin the climb. If you've got speed, you can then retract the flaps, which our speed looks good. I'm going to retract the flaps and brief the mist here if we were to fly the complete procedure. And it looks like we'd be straight out to 3,000 feet, direct to Hurog, and hold at Hurog. The entry at Hurog in this case would be either a parallel or teardrop, as we do a course reversal to start the hold. I don't see a suspend button, but in the aircraft you have to suspend the approach, and the approach will then know, or the GPS will know, okay, we are in fact going missed. And that is the RNAV GPS runway 20.